The Honda Prologue is a full electric SUV, and it shares most of its underpinnings with the Chevy Blazer EV. And yet, despite their similarities, the Prologue radically outsells the Blazer EV. Why? We will explain.
But first, here's how much the Prologue costs.
I do not care about having soft touch materials, but for those who do, you should know that there's plenty of scratchy plastic in here and shiny black plastic, which is collecting fingerprints and dust. But visually, I really like the way this looks. And more importantly, it functions extremely well.
All the essentials are where you want them to be. Cup holders are here. They don't interfere with the controls. Got a big open space where you can set your phone.
I like how it has grippy material, so whatever you put there won't slide around too much.
There's a lower storage area if you want to hide some stuff down there. You really like the wireless phone charger.
It's so easy to throw your phone in there, but it also keeps it very secure.
Good size center console area, though I had one complaint, which is that unless you're on like a slight upslope, this will not stay open by itself. Door storage is good. We've got sauce pockets.
Room for a vertical bottle.
We also have available USB-C ports and more in the back. Overall, it's a very simple but functional space.
The seats are a bit on the firm side, but comfortable. And I like how they have this lower bolstering to keep you in place.
I do find the seat back a little bit lumpy for my taste, but generally speaking, pretty comfortable. Where it's really impressive in here is rear seat space. Behind my ideal front seat position, massive amounts of leg room. We have a flat floor. Interestingly, headroom is better for me in that middle spot. On the outside, it barely catches the edge of my hair when I'm having a poofy hair day, which often I am. Kiddo, how did you find sitting in that middle spot?
It was good, but less good than on the sides.
Why is that?
Because when I'm all the way back, my feet kind of push into the
plastic here?
Yeah.
Ah, gotcha. As she's gotten older, we've realized there's a challenge with where her knee is in relation to the end of the seat. Sometimes she has to slouch to have a proper foot on ground seating position. Nonetheless, a very spacious rear seating area. Oh, we also have a 2-position recline function, which I appreciate. And then for our child, rear vents. Moving to the cargo area, we have 25.2 cubic feet of space, which is plenty. It goes down just a couple of cubes in higher trims. There is no tire repair kit in the version we're driving, even though it comes on all the other trims, because on the Elite trim, which is the fanciest one that we've got here, it has self-sealing tires. That sure sounds great. I don't know if I trust it. I'm wondering how they do with a tire slash. So regardless of what trim you get, no spare tire. But I do like that we have 60/40 split fold seats, and I can reach forward without much issue and flip them down without having to go to the side. And that underfloor area does have a handy little nook for storing various things up to and including your charge kit. Oh, hey, look, a pair of Flying Eyes sunglasses. So bendable. If you'd like to learn what makes Flying Eyes so flexible, durable, and comfortable, whether you're a pilot or not, click the link in the description below to learn more about Flying Eyes. Last cargo note, on the middle of a touring trim and up, there is a kick-activated power liftgate. Sweetie, what's the latch sitch?
There are 3 top tethers and 2 sets of lower anchors. The lower anchors are covered with plastic covers that easily snap out of the way, easy to install the booster. Also, it looks like it would be roomy enough for a rear-facing car seat back there.
Big time. As for safety, neither the NHTSA nor IIHS have rated the Honda Prologue just yet, but it does come with a complete suite of active driver assist technology, plus 8 airbags. Family, what do we think? Is the Honda Prologue family friendly?
Yay!
Family friendly.
Family friendly.
Yeah, family friendly. Rear window test. All the way down. Woo! Boop. Armrest test. Driving in a comfortable 8 and 4, I have easy access to both the inboard and outboard armrests, reasonable squish factor. The stitching here is a little abrasive, but I'm not feeling too complaining today. So I'm gonna go 85% outboard, 75% inboard. Let's move onward to style. I mentioned that the Chevy Blazer EV and this Honda Prologue are very, very similar. One place where they really diverge is style.
I like that the Prologue style isn't overtly EV. It isn't too swoopy. There are real handles. You don't have to wait for them to move in and out. I think it's handsome.
I agree. I really like the look of the Prologue, and I think a lot of that has to do with proportions, the long wheelbase. It's not trying too hard. Really like that. That said, if this feels too plain, consider the Blazer EV. Much swoopier, futuristic, just got a lot going on, and for some people that works. I'm actually kind of a fan of the Blazer EV style, but if it was the one I was going to buy rather than date, I'd go with the Honda Prologue. One special detail that Sweetie really likes, talk about the typeface.
He said talk about it.
I really like the typeface. I like how there's extra spacing in between. It looks just clean and modern and simple.
As for color, ours is Pacific Blue Metallic. The only no charged color is silver. Everything else is going to be about $450. But they do have this really nice kind of like aqua color that's available on some of the higher trims. I'd be happy to pay for that. We're feeling pretty great about the Honda Prologue style, but what do you think? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Tell us in the comments. Also, thank you. Thank you for supporting our channel in whatever way you do. Like, subscribe, leave a kind comment. Specifically, avoid leaving a terrible comment. Whatever you want to do to support us, maybe buy a pair of flying eye sunglasses, we appreciate it. Onward to In Motion. I like driving the Honda Prologue. It has a long wheelbase, so you don't get this like seesaw effect on big bumps. My understanding is that they've tuned the suspension to impart perhaps somewhat sportier vibes. I'm not getting overtly sporty vibes here, and part of that has to do with the fact that the steering ratio is fairly slow, but it is responsive and controlled. And for daily drives, I find the Prologue to be a very comfortable commuter. One minor complaint, there's some noise coming from somewhere up here when I'm driving at higher speeds, and I cannot figure out what it is. I was like pushing and poking and nothing would stop it. But it's not doing it right now, so I'm counting my blessings. The noise is doing the noise. For power, okay, I'm gonna put it in sport mode, just make sure we're maximally sporty, and then I'm just gonna floor it. Ready, set, floored. Whee! Did you notice how nobody in here is screaming? Oftentimes when I floor it in an electric vehicle, we'll get like a yelp or a squee or something like that. None of that happening right now. The amount of power we've got, we're driving the dual motor all-wheel drive version, is adequate, but not mind-blowing. So if your goal is to buy an EV to really like dazzle EV skeptics with the pure acceleration like you've heard maybe your Tesla friends do, this ain't that. But again, perfectly great commuter. I mentioned that sport button. It does not come on the base trim. So if you want to live that sporty life, which means slightly heavier steering, I guess, then you're going to want to get above the base trim. If we go over here into the display, we've got a button here for one pedal drive mode. I can tap that to turn it on and off pretty conveniently. You can also set the level. I'm going to activate high regen, both feet off pedal, coming to a stop. Let's see if it's smooth. I would say that's pretty smooth, but not necessarily Micah smooth.
It can never be too smooth.
Well, let's see now. I've taken it off, and let's see if I, using the brake pedal, can come to a proper Micah smooth stop. Brake pedal feels kind of weird, but...
You could definitely tell when it stopped. Even with your awesome smooth braking powers.
Thank you for acknowledging my smooth braking powers, child. You don't know how happy that makes me. One last thought, we have about 8 inches of ground clearance in the Prologue, and this is really not an off-road oriented SUV, but if you're heading out into snow, it's nice to have a little bit of clearance to get up over the snow before it has been plowed. That's what I think about driving the Honda Prologue. What does Sweetie think? Sweetie's at the wheel. Item number 1, do you know what we have in here that we did not have in the Blazer EV?
A push button start.
Do you like having the start button there?
I really do. I know some EVs are just supposed to predict what you want, and I find maybe I just behave unpredictably.
One of the things with EVs is like, let's rethink the fundamentals. We don't need a start button, man. It's like, I get that. But also, I think there's a lot of people that just like want it to be somewhat familiar. Like, make it like a normal car, but also electric. And this does that. Go ahead and take us out. Do you have adequate acceleration?
Absolutely.
Any thoughts as you make your way around these corners?
The steering's a little bit on the heavy side.
Well, it only gets heavier when you're in sport mode, so thank goodness you're not.
Or maybe it's just a slower steering ratio?
A slow steering ratio might encourage slightly smoother steering inputs, but it does take bigger movements from the driver. I really feel like I'm doing a lot of this kind of stuff. I'm sorry. Any issues maneuvering this thing around?
I really like how this is sized. It gave me confidence when parking.
It's a good combination of spacious on the inside, not too big on the outside. What about visibility? It's telling that you were moving your seat up right before you talk about it.
Well, because I felt like there was a lot of dash in my way. What I am having trouble seeing though is over my right shoulder. The belt line is high and there's that tiny little window out there. But over my left shoulder, visibility is great.
If we were in the market for an electric SUV, are there any game killers that would keep you from driving a Honda Prologue?
No game killers here.
Right on, I'm getting back in the driver's seat. Let's head onward to remarks. Infotainment, 11.3 inches of screen here. We've got 11-inch digital gauge cluster over in this region.
I love how large all of the icons are. I have terrible vision and I find that very helpful. I would like more color.
That certainly helps distinguish one app from another.
But it is extremely well laid out, very easy to find my way around.
Submenus on the left side. I really like this little settings button right up top here. I'm getting all of the access that I need, with the exception of the sport button and the lane departure warning buttons over here, which are kind of a long reach. Do you want to talk about why it's so darn special versus the Blazer EV?
Apple CarPlay is available.
And
here.
Android Auto for Android Auto users. Both come standard, both are wireless, and that's one of the big things that was missing from the Blazer EV. We really like the Blazer EV overall, but our worlds are Apple-centric, and not being able to access, let's say, calendar reminders, addresses, and our podcasts, and our Apple Music easily for free via Apple CarPlay was maddening. We found a solution to it. It wears a Honda badge. Unlike Chevy, Honda also has included Google built in, so we can do something like, "Hey Google." Hey Google. Maybe you don't have the voice activation up. Hey, tell me a joke, Google.
What's the difference between a guitar and a fish? You can tune a guitar, but you can't tune a fish.
Da 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 da. Well, it sounds like I'm about to do a folk song about not having Apple CarPlay.
Why did that happen?
I don't know. Google built in. I mentioned we're driving the highest Elite trim, and it has two features that you will not find on all the other trims. Number one, there's a key card that you can use for accessing the vehicle, so you don't have to have a fob on you. And then also a 360-degree camera system. And I wouldn't mind a slightly larger view for the 360 around view, but it does give you a bunch of different options for where you want to see. And now let's take a look under the hood in a test inspired by my buddy Brian. Open up the hood on the Prologue with a double pull.
Here is where you store your Micah.
And adjacent to your Micah, that's where you can add the washer fluid. But what you won't find up there is a frunk.
Where will I store my Micah?
The answer is clear. Under the hood of your Prologue. Now, in the beginning of the video, we were talking about how this and the Chevy Blazer EV are essentially the same vehicle, and yet this one is outselling the Blazer EV by a large margin. Why is that? Well, a couple of things.
Factory recall.
Well, that might be an optics thing for the Chevy. That is certainly a point of consideration. The other thing I'll say is that the Honda Prologue retains all the good stuff we loved about the Blazer EV from a packaging and an interior comfort perspective, so it hasn't lost the good stuff. Item two, it gained the stuff we really wanted: Apple CarPlay and Android Auto smartphone integration. Three, it has a really clean and handsome design that to us is the more appealing choice. And I'm gonna give you a bonus one. I was looking around and I found you could get a Prologue, the base EX front wheel drive version. It was like $1,800 down and $209 a month. It's like a 3-year lease. Compelling lease deals might be another component. Either way, if it's a Prologue versus Blazer EV question, we're going Prologue. Okay, let's talk engine choices. There are two powertrain choices. The first one is a single motor front wheel drive setup. And then there's also a dual motor all wheel drive version that costs $3,000 on the two lower trims but comes standard on the Elite trim. All Honda Prologues feature an 85 kilowatt-hour battery that, according to Honda, can DC quick charge from 20% to 80% in about 35 minutes. If you want to tow with your Honda Prologue, it maxes out at 1,500 pounds.
Sweetie, will you share our trim recommendation?
Indeed I shall. Our trim recommendation is which Honda Prologue trim will give you the essential features you would regret not getting, but at the lowest possible price. We're going to recommend the base EX trim. It covers all the essentials and more, including heated front seats with a 10-way power driver's seat, dual zone climate control, and smart key access. As for Prologue competitors, there's the Ford Mustang Mach-E, the Kia EV6, maybe the Hyundai Ioniq 5. There's also the Tesla Model Y and Chevy Blazer EV. Also, the Honda Prologue, since it's built here in America, is eligible for a $7,500 federal tax incentive, which really trims down that price. Last thing, when you buy your Prologue, you get your choice of how you want to charge it. You can get a portable charger, you can get a home charging kit, or you can get credits for DC quick charging out and about. Basically, figure out your use case, and then they'll give you the charging paraphernalia or support monetarily to do that. That is such a smart approach. Did we miss any remarks? If so, tell us in the comment section. And now, it is our daughter's time to shine. Child, can you tell us what is your favorite feature in the Honda Prologue?
Sunroof.
Why do you like the big old sunroof?
One, because I can see out, and two, I think it's sticky because there was a sleeve, and while we were driving, it never flew off until when we were like slowing down.
Wasn't that weird? It's like the Leaf's like, hey, I like the Blazer EV, but I really like the Honda Prologue. Can I join you guys for your drive? And we said, yes, Leaf, you may join us. Family, I think we've done a good job reviewing the Honda Prologue. May I have a 5 and a 5, and you come get your high five. Bam! And now, please enjoy our AI-generated Honda Prologue synopsis song.